Worm. It was named by my old business partner Dan Shields, and it was originated by a very talented fly tyer by the name of Walt Young. Walt is a several-time state champion fly tyer. He's a writer. He's a very good fisherman. And it's almost ironic that a fly this simple was named after him, but despite its simplicity, it works extremely well. In the vise, I have a Tiemco 5262 hook. That's a heavy wire, 2x long nymph hook. A Daiichi 1710 is an equivalent hook. We tie these in sizes 8 to 16, 8 to 18. This is number 12, just to make it hopefully a little easier for you to see. First thing, of course, is to take off the barb, which we're just going to flatten with a pair of pliers. And then we'll put a underbody of lead wire. This is a fine lead wire, and we'll just pretty much put it in the middle of the hook, leaving ourselves room fore and aft of the lead to attach thread and to taper just a little bit. 6/0 thread will be used to tie the fly. And I'm just going to wrap a few layers of thread to anchor the lead and also to cover it. The lead wire poking through a nymph has never been very appealing to me. I don't think the fish much care for it. So if I do have a hole in my fly at some point, if my dubbing technique isn't perfect, I'll be looking at tan thread as opposed to lead wire. This is the dubbing material. This is actually a hare's ear dubbing with a little bit of sparkle in it. You can use hare's ear hairline number 4 or hare's ear plus number 1. Both of those are quite acceptable for this fly. I have a little bit of Antron mixed in here, gives it just a little bit of sparkle. We'll put a relatively fine layer of dubbing on the hook or on the thread to be applied to the hook, and we don't want to bulk this up too much because we're going to wind up putting down probably several layers. Makes the fly a little more durable and a little neater. So we'll just start our dubbing and come forward, and I can see that my fly is going to be much too slender. I want a little more bulk than that, so I'll just wrap back through the dubbing, which helps to anchor it in place, and then add another layer of dubbing. It may take actually 3 layers to do this. It just depends on the size of the fly, how much dubbing you're using. May depend on the dryness of your hands. If your hands are very dry, you may want to use a dubbing wax. I just lick my fingers. That keeps them from getting dried out. And just keep adding a little bit of dubbing at a time until we have a cigar-shaped body. And you can see it, even on a 12 like this, it does take a little bit of dubbing to build up the fly. It's not something you just whip out in 30 seconds. It takes a minute or two to put a nice, neat, tapered body together. And we're getting pretty close to the point we want to be. There we go. Give yourself just a little bit of room to whip finish. Whip finish. And then finally, to increase the effectiveness of your fly, just take your dubbing teaser and tease out some of those guard hairs and other fibers. That gives a veil of movement around the fly. Every one of those little hairs twitch and wiggle in the water. It just makes the fly overall more appropriate. Again, a very, very humble fly, not much to it, but it works everywhere in central Pennsylvania, a lot of other places too. We think it looks like a cranefly larvae, but it also looks a little bit like a stonefly nymph, a little bit like a March brown nymph, and just catches fish.